Sup.
What are you doing?
Getting the light in.
What's going on, everybody?
How's everybody doing?
Hey, Josh, Darth Vegas. What's up, Alice, Sean, Charlie? Who else is here? Early crew represent. Holding down the fort till we arrive. Oh, 80 Edits was here. People were clipping this. Wait, what was this conversation? Oh, dang, I missed it. Talking about highlights from our, oh no, 80 Edits wasn't a fan of Rings of Power. I knew that, I think. Yeah, no watch party or pod this week for, Evil Ewok. We're taking a break. But yeah, if you were there, if you know, you know. That was the stream I showed you that you were absolutely dying to.
Yeah, that was great. That was incredible.
Our game plan.
That was incredible.
The game plan, if it's me, Zach, and Alex versus any Star Wars character, is I will be the sacrifice every single time. Zach is the distraction, and Alex comes in and saves the day. That's our tried and true formula, folks.
Great strategy.
But yeah, Tom, I think Tom was at work when we actually did that stream, so Tom wasn't able to watch it, and I was like, you have to rewatch this tier list portion of this stream because, like, you will die. And he did. He indeed did. Not clickbait.
Hilarious.
You will cry. No Evil Ewoks for Andor. Yeah, sorry. I know. Even I am like, how am I gonna stay awake? And I'm out of my caffeine. I don't even drink caffeine. It's not even coffee. It's just chai tea, but I'm out of the mix-ins for it, and that's what I've been drinking, because it does have some caffeine, just nowhere near. It's still a fraction of what is in a regular cup of coffee that any normal person would drink, but I figured I'm a small person, so a little bit goes a long way.
No.
For a little petite person like myself. But I don't have any, and we're not going to be doing stream tonight, so I'm really going to have to, like, be out on the couch with my eyes open trying to stay awake.
Shane, hello there.
Shane! Sending you energy drinks now. Yeah, I need them. Danny! And you know what? Of all months for us to say your name like that, it's appropriate for October, so...
Yep. Spooky season.
That sweater is awesome. Oh, thank you. I don't know if you can see. It has the American flag on it. This is actually, fun fact, my favorite sweatshirt. But I felt like I couldn't wear it for a while after the Queen passed away. Because it just has a blatant, like, American flag. I don't know. When the UK was going through a really tough time, after that I was like, I can't wear my favorite sweatshirt. I seriously wanted to wear it on numerous occasions, but I saved it for like 2 weeks after. I was like, I need a buffer period before I can wear this in a video on the channel. I know that might seem extreme, but it just felt in poor taste. But this is my favorite zip up hoodie, so thank you. It says actually Brooklyn. I thrifted this. It says Brooklyn, and then it has an American flag, but I feel like you could do that with every city. I could be like, Little Rock, American flag, like.
Anyway, Andor. You guys like Andor?
God. Oh no! You need to become Padre fans of the Phillies. What team just won? Excuse me. One of our teams just won, and I don't think it was the Padres. So sorry about that. I really want to actually like go to a game though, so maybe I'm tempted. I'm tempted. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a Phillies fan, folks, and Alex is obviously Padres fan. So we've got a bit of a dilemma.
Thank you, Daddy. Appreciate it.
You're
got
wearing
the Grievous shirt on tonight.
You've got your rotation of celebration shirts.
Yep.
But yes, anyway, let's get into, I mean, we're talking about the same stuff we've been talking about all the time, every week leading up, Shade, every week leading up to this, folks. That's crazy, mate. Literally everyone's being like, you did not have to do that about the sweatshirt. But, oh yeah, season finale. Yeah, oh my god. I kind of forgot about it, TBH, the season finale, because it didn't feel like, I kept refusing to believe, like, it's the finale. Like, I just never, I felt like it was just beginning, you know? Like, it ended, and I was like...
Yeah, that's the problem with TV shows. Because you gotta wait 10 years for the whole thing to be over.
Well, that's also the problem with, like, earlier seasons of TV shows. You've got to sit through the exposition. The first season is always build up. Like, you know, how often have we all heard people say, oh, stick with it, it gets good around season 3. It's like, okay, so I have to watch 2 seasons. I'm not saying that I didn't like the first season at all, but when it got to the end, I was just like, oh, the potential that they're setting up, like, everything is just now getting good with the overarching, like, conflict and enemy that wasn't present for the first 3/4 of the season, really. So now that they've finally established Mordor and we got the finally Sauron reveal, like, we finally have the physical manifestation of the enemy, the overarching antagonists. Like, that's what makes things exciting when you have something to be fighting against, and it wasn't really, you know, the whole majority of the season, everyone's just telling Galadriel she's crazy and there is no present danger at hand necessarily. So you're just sitting there waiting for it to pop up so she can prove everyone wrong. Like, when you know it's coming, it's just like, I just want to get to it, you know? And then we finally got to it, and then the show is over, and it's just like, now we have to wait 3 more years. Sorry, I thought I saw. I thought that's a spider. I thought that was a spider. I don't think it is.
What?
I don't think it is. I just saw movement, but I don't think it's not a spider. It's not a spider. It's definitely not. Obviously, my current favorite show is Andor, Dragons and Rings. I'll catch up later down the end. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, I want to kind of watch all the way through as one very, very long movie. Do you have anything you want to say about the finale?
No, I thought it was good. I think that, you know, there's still a lot of questions, which is good. We got the reveal, which is good. It all makes sense. I think they foreshadowed it and laid it out, you know, in a good, solid way. So, yeah. And then the ending shot of, you know, him going back to Mordor, or going to Mordor, was fantastic. So, yeah, overall, it's good.
Whoa, Charlie! 14 months! Dang! Remember, 14 months. Thanks for everything, Kat. Also, I sent you a picture of gold DM before stream is over. I never asked for anything. Oh, yes! Wait, let me check my DMs. Yes, this is a life. Where is it? Oh my god! What in the world? Whoa! Oh, everybody's Nick Cage. Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh my god. It's life-changing. Honestly, now that I see him on a poster, photo imposed like that, I think I could picture him in Star Wars. I think he'd rock. I think he'd rock it. Yeah. That changed my life changed the day that Charlie introduced me to Nicolas Cage as Superman, and I never looked back. TMoney! Thank you so much. That was also during, I will add, that was during a Night Owl stream. I think one of the very first installments of our Night Owl streams, which I haven't done in a hot minute. So it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was already like not fully with it, in an interesting headspace. And then Charlie rocked my world with that. So I think it hit extra. It had extra impact after midnight for those of us who were there. TMoney, yes, hello there. Can't stay up because of work. I do apologize, but thank you for hanging out for a little. But hope everyone enjoys the episode. Going to Harvard tomorrow to see an indigenous rapper. Oh my gosh. Have a great day. Yo, I think T-Money's gonna win for Best Wednesday. That sounds amazing. Ooh, Sal is a Yankees fan. So is this guy. So is Tom. We're all divided over here. We've got all the territories covered. I'd root for it if it was the Yankees versus Phillies Super Bowl. Jesus. World Series. As we just said.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm thinking all of our teams are against each other because this past weekend, I'm an Eagles fan. Tom is a Cowboys fan. So,
She's an Eagles.
You can imagine we're in a competitive headspace. Oh my gosh, first night out stream, you were in a closet streaming. Yeah, where was I? It was literally like before we had an actual setup. Wild times. Yikes, Yankees ain't welcome in Boston. Oh, that's true. That's true. I forgot about that.
That is true.
Anyway, what were we discussing? Yes, Rings of Power. Yeah, overall, I am happy with the season. Looking back on it, I've realized it kind of hit me this week with Rings of Power that I think I feel very fondly about the shows and the episodes while they happen and while I'm on the initial high after watching them. And now that it's done, it usually takes me a bit to form my actual, like, unbiased thoughts. Because when I'm watching everything, I'm just like, that was amazing. That was great. I love it. Like, and I ride that wave till the end of the series or whatever. And then a week or so or a few days goes by and then reality hits in and I'm like, how do I really feel about it? And I feel like, I think I also am just starting to, like, the best moments of the show for me were, like, the darkest ones, as wild as that, like, sounds. That sounds like such a red flag, but, like, one of my favorite episodes was episode 3, when Arondir gets captured and goes, and they're all, like, they have that whole kind of, they mutiny against the orcs or whatever, and they stage that whole escape plan, and then it falls through, and then the warg comes out. Like, that was, like, I was shaking in my boots. Yep. I was so scared. I was terrified. Before I continue, Mike, what's up, member, for 5 months? Mike. Yes, House of the Dragon epic ending. Can't wait for the finale. Yes, we will definitely talk about that. But I felt like the moments where Rings of Power was, like, getting scary and dark, and when Mordor was finally established, I was like, why are these my favorite parts of the show? And I feel like it's because, like, I don't know, with the exception of, like, when you're in the Shire in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, like, I feel like it has an overarching, like, just dark presence because of, obviously, I guess, Sauron and whatnot. So now that he's around, hopefully it continues to have, hopefully the next seasons continue to be dark.
Yeah, like, it's everywhere except the Shire and Rivendell. Like, everywhere east of that is
not doing hot.
Orc-ridden land.
Yeah.
Literally everything east of that point is just orc-ridden land. Versus this, the only orcs that exist are in Mordor. So they haven't expanded.
Yeah, I hope we see that. I hope we see... I want to get more orc content. We got quite a lot in this season. More than I was anticipating, considering Mordor hadn't been fully formed. But I want to see, hopefully, more. But time to just put that on the back burner in my brain for now, because that's probably going to take... See, this is the problem. They should have spaced out these epic shows, because I wished, like... It's been awesome having all 3 of them to watch at once, but now that Rings of Power is over, we got T-minus however many days till House of the Dragon is over, and those are both 2 ginormous, big-budget franchises that take years to develop. Like, I'm just like, I wish these didn't come out at the same time so we could have at least spread it out, and now we have to wait literally until 2025, probably, for, like, both of them, don't you think? I don't even think they're starting production for House of the Dragon Season 2 till next March. So it'll probably take a couple months to film. Then there's quite a bit of post-production, you know, VFX. The graphics team has a lot of work to do. Like, those films are made those Game of Thrones, those episodes are obviously made very on location, very practical, but there's still a lot of behind the scenes, I'm sure. VFX with the dragons, duh. So I don't think we're gonna get that till maybe even 2024, so maybe not 2025. But Rings of Power, this has been in development for like 5 years. Rings of Power is gonna be a longer wait, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most expensive show of all time, so.
Right? Like, I feel like they were in production. Granted, I'm pretty sure the P word hit in the midst of while they were, I don't know if they were probably still in the middle of development when the P word struck in 2020. Yeah, because if it wasn't coming out until this year, they were probably still filming. So it did probably get put on hold. I don't know. I had just assumed anything that was operating around that time period got put on hold. So, but hopefully it's not that long of a wait. At least we still got one episode left of House of the Dragon. And I've got to say, I think I was saying this at the beginning of the show, and everyone was talking about it on Twitter this week, like, oh, episode 9, Game of Thrones is notorious for the 9th episode being the biggest one, which is true. Like, all of the major stuff that would, like, go down, like, a lot of major stuff would happen in the 9th episode. It was usually, like, the most mind-blowing one, and then the 10th episode would kind of have a little bit of the fallout / unwinding from that while still being epic. But usually, like, the big shocker or big scare or, like, big surprise of the season would come in episode 9. So I went into this week's episode thinking that was going to be the case, and I was just infuriated the entire time. So I don't know if I was not objectively, like, taking in the episode, because I was just literally so mad the whole time. But to me, I feel like they set it up for episode 10. Like, maybe this show is going a different trajectory, because I feel like episode 10 is going to be way more wild.
Yeah, it definitely is. They absolutely set it up for, you know, the civil war that's going to ensue. And, I mean, obviously the whole thing doesn't happen in one episode of the show, but the fact that Rhaenys is now flying a Dragonstone and seeing her alert Rhaenyra and Daemon, seeing their initial reactions, it's going to be spicy.
Yeah.
It's going to be very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, it's all kind of House of the Dragon. I mean, talk about exposition. A lot of this season has been really good. I stand by that. I think House of the Dragon has been the better show. If I'm pitting it against Rings of Power, that's not to say that I don't like Rings of Power. That's just saying if I had to pick one, it's like an easy pick for me. I prefer House of the Dragon. But I think, what is my train of thought? Oh yeah, it's been a good season, but talk about exposition. I mean, with all the time jumps and literally starting the story, where was it? I mean, the girls were like 15 when it started, and now they're like 30-ish years old. I don't know. Like, they're up there. It's been over a decade of time that has transpired all within one season. Like, that's quite a lot of exposition to build up to what the remainder of this show is about to be, which is the civil, internal war amongst the families and whatnot. So, in a way, that too, like, things are just heating up and getting started. And then it's, gonna be over after this weekend until Lord knows when we're getting that. So. Oh, you hear that? An alarm is going off. We need the evil Ewoks here. Oh yeah, unfortunately, we'll have to wait a week for that. You're definitely not prepared for what's gonna happen in episode 10. Are you referring to? I hope I'm not. I hope I'm not. I want it to be mind-blowing, because I wasn't mind-blown. Like, episode 9 was great at the end. Like I said, the whole rest of the episode, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was just fuming. Amanda thought Rhaenys was gonna die, and she was freaking out. Well, I was getting scared because I had to reassure myself, like, this was the age of the dragons. Nobody had any fancy weapons like they developed in Game of Thrones to take out Daenerys's dragons. Like, I was like, there's no way they would have had any sort of weaponry like that or defense systems in place. So I was like, okay,
She's gonna get shot out of the sky.
What?
You thought she was gonna get shot out of the sky?
Well, I was worried, like, when she was in there, because the guards were closing the doors. Even though Hightower was saying, like, open them so the people can freaking get out. But it seemed like the guards were making the unanimous decision, let's lock her in. So I was getting, and even she was, like, nervously kind of looking back at the door and back at them. And, like, you could tell she was, like, getting ready to bolt, but she still had a final statement she wanted to make.
It busted through the floor. It could bust through the ceiling or the walls of the building. Like, it literally came flying through the floor.
I guess.
Why couldn't it just blast through the doors or through the ceiling?
Well, I was equally scared. I was scared that they were gonna start stabbing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. All I'm saying is Amanda wasn't alone. I was getting nervous too, but I'm glad it didn't go down like that. They all gonna die. I know. But I mean, I guess that is Game of Thrones. In terms of, I mean, a lot of people, I guess, have to make it out of this first season to be able to go down during the war. But in terms of casualties, wasn't as bad as I thought it would be for a Game of Thrones production this season 1 here. Maybe I just jinxed that, but we'll see what's up.
Yeah. See? Darth and I are on the same page.
Okay. I don't know. Forgive me for being scarred by Game of Thrones, which made it very evident that Daenerys' dragons could be taken out super easily. I mean, all it took was like one arrow for one of her last remaining dragons, you know. They were very susceptible to threats, let's put it that way. So, forgive me for being concerned about the House of the dragons. Pay attention to Helena more. I know, it's tough because she says wild, unprompted things in a scenario that has nothing to do with, you know, the Aemond one was a little more, like, blatant foreshadowing because she said it with him right in the room and his mom was talking about him getting a dragon. But the statement she made about the beast beneath the boards, it was at a completely different... I was like, what are you talking about? When she actually said it. And when it actually happened, I wasn't, like, immediately thinking, like, oh, that's what Helena said earlier. I was just more like, holy smokes, what's going on? So, it depends on the scenario, I guess, in which she says things. But I'll try to... I'm also just not good at predicting, so she could say anything like a riddle and I'd be like, huh, and I just wouldn't even think about it. So, we'll see. The coming attractions made me wonder if King Viserys had a dragon that Daemon tries to take for himself when setting down the torch in the dungeon. Yeah, I didn't actually watch the preview for next episode. I don't like to watch previews. But I am hearing on Twitter that he is going to try to make an attempt to claim another dragon to get on their side. But yes. We are safe. We don't have Season 8 writers. Yeah, they really enjoyed nixing the dragons, that's for sure. So yeah, that's why I'm scarred. Season 8. I just can't wait for other things to talk about. Well, there's just not gonna be many. I mean, we're in like the biggest kind of stretch of content right now. Like, we're on the waves up here, we're up at the top. Well, actually, no, we were up at the top, now we're waves coming down. But I'm excited to finally just have Andor. I think it'll also be better because, when all these epic wild shows are going on, and I've said this before, like, they inevitably get pitted against each other, and I feel like Andor has been suffering a little bit from coming out at the same time as these other two big fantasy shows that are a little bit more similar to each other. Like, I feel like the general public, we're just talking about general public and not sweaty diehard Star Wars fans who will watch anything. Like, I feel like Andor might maybe start doing a little bit better once these other shows are over. I mean, don't you think? And then Andor is just going to have its own limelight.
I think when we get to the end of the show and there's actually a really large scale conflict, then it's it's going to be more intriguing for a wider audience. Because right now it started extremely small scale with just Cassian murdering one police officer, and then expanded to that police force going to a different planet and having a little invasion. And now the next arc was, a direct threat against the Empire, so they're moving up to bigger fish. There's always bigger fish. And now they've successfully pulled off a heist against the Empire. And then now the last episode ended with the entire Imperial Security Force, Security Bureau, raising high alert. And now the entire Empire is on alert.
Yeah.
Right? And so now the conflict has grown over the first 6 episodes. And now it's going to continue to grow. We're going to see, Senate battles and things. We're going to see this Empire ramp up their defenses. So then by the time we get the end of season 1, it's going to be the traditional large scale galaxy conflict that we're used to when we come to Star Wars. So it'll be much more than Andor's name by the end of the season versus it started out as just Cassian. So
I really, 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 really hope that tonight's, last week's episode was such a banger. The momentum, the pace, everything was freaking phenomenal. And I feel like they set it up to keep the tensions rising. Like you just said, showing the fact that the ISB, everyone's been engaged. They're already engaged. So everyone's been engaged now at this point. And kind of like what happened with Rings of Power, the antagonist is just now, it's starting to rise. Because obviously Cyril was part of that, authoritative kind of smaller scale police force. But that, we all know that the top dog during this time is not, not him and the people, it's the Empire, it's the ISB. We're tapping into the bigger threat, the bigger foe right now. They've kind of woken the beast in a way. So I'm really hoping, because they teased that at the end, they snuck it in there at the end of the last episode, that the Empire is awake, and this kind of was a slap across the face for them, but they're obviously going to be coming back in full force. And I feel like we haven't yet thought of even what the consequences of this are going to be, because this was a huge win. The fact that they were able to, even though everybody died, they pulled it off. Especially because it was the most stressed I've ever been. So I've just been focusing on the fact that they actually were able to do it. But I haven't been thinking about what this means, the danger for everybody else now. What this is going to spark across the galaxy, because now Empire is going to assume everybody's a rebel. They're just going to be full-blown retaliation, smashing their hammer down on everybody. Yep. So I hope that tonight's episode, now that the stakes have kind of picked up a little bit and more things have gone down, I really hope that it's not, I know if it's continuing on the 3 episode arc, we've seen so far, with episodes 1 through 3 and then 4 through 6. If we're starting a new arc of 7 through 9, I just hope it doesn't slow the momentum. I'm fine with starting a new arc after this. In fact, I think actually Zach and I were talking about this. We were looking at the trailer. We were like, what clips do we still have left that we haven't seen that are in the trailer? And we have the ones of the troopers on Ferrix. Mm-hmm. Or the clones. You thought it was clones? Clones on Ferrix?
Yeah, if it's going to take place in real time, it's not going to be Imperial clone troopers.
No, obviously.
It's 15 years after that.
Obviously.
We saw in Bad Batch how quickly they turned from using clones. So, there's a shot of traditional Imperial stormtrooper people on Ferrix. There's also a shot of clone armor on Ferrix. So I think that they could hit us with the, heightened security, sending stormtroopers to Ferrix, and then getting more flashbacks about Cassian's younger days and first days on Ferrix and dealing with clones and Republic and, you know, that storyline that was left off at the end of episode 3.
Yeah.
So they could, I think it would make perfect sense to kind of show those two things.
Well, we know
same
that
time,
they're establishing a new headquarters on Ferrix.
Mhm.
We saw from that brief moment, but that was super pivotal. Obviously now, the hammer's coming down there, but we haven't seen Saw Gerrera yet. That's still in the works.
True.
And there are clips of what look like Cassian in a prison, like leading a prison breakout almost, when he's like smashing that like extinguisher against the door.
Yeah.
And you see through like a window shot all these other people dressed in like these white jumpsuits in a very like clinical looking setting. So I'm wondering if that could be where this is going next. Like if something goes wrong, and this is what I was talking about with Zach, like they've made it evident. Obviously, we know Cassian, I'm assuming, is going to take that ship that he offered the 30,000 credits for to the doctor to just get out of there and peace out, because he's #done. I think they've established, though, that he's smart in some ways. Like, he has good street smarts about him, but when it comes to evading and dodging the Empire, like, Luthen made it very clear in episode 3, like, Cassian still has a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has strengths, but they made a point to show that he still had his tracker on him. Like, he wasn't taking every possible measure to evade the Empire. So I don't think he's quite at that knowledgeable level just yet. So I can imagine, you know, if something goes wrong, like, if he does get caught somehow and goes to prison, like, I don't know. I'm trying to just piece together. This is just my prediction based on the clips that we've yet to see from the trailer, what we know is still in store, and like what we know has happened before, which is Cassian, you know, didn't do the best job of, you know, hiding himself when the authorities arrived on Ferrix and were able to very easily track him with his cell phone, his beeper, whatever it's called. And what we know just happened, he's on the run now again. I don't think, I mean, they saw people's faces. His family would be able to ID people. I'm sure they're going to look through a database, and he's already in a database, as we know. So,
yeah, I think that's actually a good point. Because initially, like, seeing the shots of, like, the prison riot type shots in the trailers, you know, I'd always kind of thought that, for some reason, my brain was like, oh, he's undercover in this prison and is leading a prison riot. But,
me too.
like,
yeah.
Infiltrated it from the outside. But I think I actually like it better if he, you know, he's like, okay, I did what I came here to do. I helped you with the heist. I'm taking my cut and I'm done. And I'm going back to Ferrix. But then he gets captured by the Empire, and then that continues to help him actually change his motives.
Do you really think he would actually go back to Ferrix, though?
Yeah, he said he was coming back. He literally said when he was leaving, I'll be back.
He's not stupid, though. He's got to know that they've probably amped up security around there. He's on the run. Like, yeah, they left witnesses alive during this attack.
Yeah, but he literally said that he'll be back. He said
yeah, I know that he wants to go back, but he was taking some time to leave because he knew he couldn't for a hot minute. He's only been gone for, like, this whole thing was maybe, like, 4 days that they were gone and planning and executing the mission. I think maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Because like I said, they made a point to show that he's not that advanced yet in terms of his spy thinking and how he evades the Empire and whatnot. So maybe he does naively go back, see what's gone down, and can't get back out before it's too late. Or I don't know. I don't know. It's also interesting because, you know, Luthen was very hyper aware that Cassian could still be a threat, and he was, you know, clearly angsting. He was like, no, I wasn't I didn't play it super safe with Cassian. He did it sloppy, is that the word he used? Like, he just wanted to get him in the mission, but he didn't fully vet him. Like, he probably doesn't fully trust Cassian. Like, I don't know, maybe something's gonna transpire somehow with all that. Like, not that Luthen would turn him in or anything like that, but I don't know.
No, I don't think that's happening. I think that he was saying that he wasn't sure about Andor because from a motive perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Like, based on their conversation on the ship in between episode 3 and when he dropped them off on Aldhani. Like, the conversations, I think Luthen was probably expecting a little more, oh, yeah, I want to fight the Empire, rather than, oh, yeah, I just like money. You know, I think he was expecting more motivation, just anti-Imperial motivation, you know,
Nic Gundy, bye.
You know, Empire motivation rather than just, you know, looking out for himself and doing what's best for him type of mindset, which he still has that, clearly. And even at the end of this episode, you know, yeah, sure, he kills the, whatever the scumbag's name is, who was going to just take the money and run.
Skeen.
Yeah, he kills him when he's, after his proposal of just taking all the money. But it's not like he sticks around. He then says, you know, okay, give me my cut. I'll buy your ship. I'm leaving. You do whatever you need to do.
I wonder if he might have stuck around if Nemec was still alive. If he'd survived the surgery. Maybe not, because, I mean, he literally went in there gun blazing ready at the ready, so...
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I remember Kat saying in Kenobi, hopefully Vader's helmet would get sliced, and we'd get Hayden, and boom, it happened. I think Darth Padme was showing, well, that was the one prediction I've ever had that kind of actually went down. But that wasn't even a prediction. That was like a, this needs to happen. Like, that wasn't even an out of left field, like, request of the show. That was like a necessary thing. So, I still tread carefully when it comes to my predictions because 90% of the time they don't go down that successfully. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I just hope that the pace of tonight's episode, Zach, what's up? Glad to see you again. Never apologize for being late. Not that late at all, but I'm glad that you're here. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining. But I hope tonight's episode is like not, I feel like they've got to know, right? If you have an episode that freaking extraordinary, you can't pump the brakes that rapidly too soon after. I feel like you got to capitalize on that and keep going. So
I don't think they know that.
I hope. I mean, I feel like the stakes are also inherently just higher. Everything, a lot more has happened since, you know, where he was episode 1. Yeah. Like, I don't think we're gonna have any episodes for the rest of the series that are as relaxed as those first 2. I hope.
No, I think that this, of all the Star Wars shows, this one actually is doing the best job at just keeping the momentum and building the crescendo of what's going to happen. Like, through the first 6 episodes, it's been a consistent storyline, consistent plot. They're not straying for side missions. Everything feels like the main event, the main plot. And it's slowly building, you know, from 1 through 3, it really built. And then we settled down a little bit. 4, 5, 6, it built up. We're going to probably settle down into the new situation. And then it's going to keep going up. But through the first 6 episodes, it's been a consistent, clear, and obvious storyline. And on the 6 episodes, I don't think they've strayed from that. And it's stayed focused on the main goal at hand. Even at the same time, bouncing around to all different characters, which, you know, I think Andor does a better job at than any of the other Star Wars shows that they've come out with.
Why did they have to kill both the black characters? They were both cool. I know, I was really sad about Lieutenant Gorn. And it happened so fast, I didn't even realize that he actually took a hit and got shot during when all that went down, until somebody had to comment that he died. Because I said in my review, I was like, is he still alive? What even happened to him? And someone was like, he's dead. So that it happened so like abruptly almost too. He was such a good character. I feel like there could have been, it was almost scary when his commander said like you'll hang for this, like thinking, oh my god,
No.
like it's just got real, like think just that line alone, like it was not that I would have wanted him to stay alive, but the horror and just the sheer way they could have built even more upon how absolutely awful the Empire like is, because like I've said during this show, I feel like for me has done a lot to illuminate how rotten and bad the Empire is and the people working for it are, for the most part. Like, I am rooting for the blonde, oh my gosh, what's her name? The blonde lieutenant, I don't want to say chick, lady who was
ISB?
popping the pills. Yes,
Yeah.
blonde ISB lady. I know she has a name. I just can't think of
I
it
don't know.
because
I
they
don't
never
know
say
any of
her
their
name.
names. I don't know any of their names.
They never like
I don't know
say
single
her
character
name.
names. I besides Cinta,
Yeah.
like Nemec.
Yeah.
Cinta and Nemec are the only two. I couldn't tell you what the blonde.
Vel?
Oh, Vel. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I don't know any of those.
Tamarin, Ski.
Gorn. I know Gorn.
Lieutenant
Yeah.
Gorn. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I know all of them.
But yes,
Okay, a lot.
also, yeah, that's the other thing. Like, they kind of peppered in that fun fact about being an ex-stormtrooper. And then we never really saw more of his character except
I feel
for
like he could have
during-
just lied. I feel like he maybe just lied because he told Cassian like way behind the pack. And I feel like he could have just lied to make Cassian think like, oh, like, you know,
Well, upon
that's the bad
rewatching,
guy. That's the bad
yeah,
guy, not him.
upon rewatching the
Yeah.
episode, you're right. Like the first time through, I didn't suspect anything. Second time through, when you realize where Skeen actually ends up and his motivations, it made more sense. Like, oh, he's trying to like be buddy with Cassian, poison him against the other group members. But I don't know. It's interesting because people were making the point in my comment section, like, you know, they don't believe that necessarily that was his ambition the whole time. Like, if everyone had survived, he obviously, I don't think, would have tried to do that. But because literally the whole rest of the team dropped like flies, he knew Nemec probably wasn't going to survive. Like, people pitched the idea that, like, perhaps that was a developing, you know, plan. Like, that probably wasn't maybe his ambition the whole time, but as he saw that things were going south for everybody else, like, he saw the opportunity and maybe wanted to seize it, which is more interesting to think of the fact that it came to him in that moment there when he's talking with Cassian, like, he, in that snap of a moment, his intentions changed. Dedra, yes, thank you, that is her name. Bye, Sal, good to see you.
Good night, Sal.
Scummy Skeen. Sean, always with the nicknames. But Skeen stopped giving cover as soon as his safety was at risk. That is also true. He was supposed to be covering. You're actually right. You're right. Because upon the second watch through as well, when Tamarin says, cover me, because he's going to try to help Vel, they make a point to show that Skeen like nods at him, acknowledges him, and shoots for a little bit, and then pulls back. Again, also didn't notice that it was so much was moving the first time I watched, like, and my heart was just racing, and I really just was gonna throw up. I was so anxious, so I didn't capture a lot of stuff the first time through. But yes, you're right, actually, Shane. Second time you pick up on that, definitely after you know what eventually goes down. But it makes it all interesting because, you know, I guess he's just a dynamic. He's maybe not totally corrupt because he did seem to genuinely. I do think he genuinely. Well, I would actually like to hope that he cared about Nemec and was desperate enough to want them to dock the ship to go land and get him medical attention. But perhaps
no, it was
it's
solely
even
so
more
he could take the
sad.
ship.
Yeah, it's
It
even
was
more.
solely so he could take the ship. He knew that if they didn't, if they stayed on course and left him to die on the ship, and they went to wherever they were going to drop it off, he wouldn't have had a chance to steal it. So he was heavily advocating for them to land somewhere else, so that while they're distracted with the Doctor, he can take the ship and run.
After hearing that he had no brother. That too was also a big because that was the whole theme of the last episode. That was literally like he named the title The Axe Forgets. Like that whole thing was inspired. The whole theme of that episode was inspired by his non-existent brother. But that was something else that people pointed out. Like maybe he wasn't lying necessarily in the sense saying in that moment, I don't have a brother. Maybe he actually did, and maybe that story is true, and maybe he's just saying that because his brother is dead / no longer living. So it wouldn't necessarily be a blatant lie for him to say, I don't have a brother. I don't know.
Too much credit.
Well, it's more interesting to think about.
Who cares if he lied? He was going to steal a thing and he's dead. Who cares if he lied? Who cares if he told the truth? He's dead.
Yeah, but it's more interesting to think about the decisions not being made off screen. Like if he did in that moment decide, like it just makes it more fun and interesting, like from an acting perspective or even just the story perspective in general. If it was a spontaneous, he did decide in that moment that he wanted to steal the freighter. I don't even know what type of ship it was. I don't know. It makes it spicy. If it was a spontaneous, it makes characters more dynamic. I don't know. I'm not saying. I think it's
spontaneous.
I'm just saying that it's interesting to contemplate that there are options. That maybe that was his plan all along. Maybe it changed halfway through. Maybe because everybody else died, he realized he wanted to take it, and his moral compass was compromised. Like I don't know. There's options. There's options.
You can think of all that stuff, but bottom line is, he's a scumbag and he's dead.
That's true.
It's the bottom line.
Andor shot first. That's so true. Is it the finale tonight? Heck no. We're only halfway through this season. We have 12 episodes. We are literally only at the halfway point. We're officially over the halfway point. Yeah, no, we have still 2 more 3-episode arcs to go, which is going to be, like, I'm happy. Like, this is something else that Zach and I were talking about. Like, bring back full, like, what happened to the full-blown 10+ episode seasons? Like, streaming platforms, I feel like, have normalized shorter
I would rather
shows.
it be like Rings of Power and it's over an hour for each episode and only 8. I would rather it be that way because rather than taking a story and like you could take, if it was Rings of Power, the first 3 episodes of Andor would have been 1 episode.
That's true. Maybe like 1.25 episodes.
From a story perspective, 1 episode. Right? Like it's 1 episode. The first 3 episodes are 1 episode. These next 3, the previous 3 episodes are also 1 episode. It's 1 story. So yeah, in this case, they're breaking it up into thirds so that they can elongate the amount of time that the show is on the air. But they're essentially 1 episode spread over 3 weeks.
Yeah. Zach made the interesting proposal that he and Alex had been talking about. I love that half the time I just recycle the talking points from Evil Ewok, but he said that they could adopt, because if the whole marketing standpoint from a business perspective is you want to elongate people's subscriptions for as long as possible and keep it extended as long as you possibly can while the show is running, why not drop 3 episodes 1 week, then wait a week or 2 in between, and then drop another 3. Like, drop the 3 in segments, and then you have a full 3 episodes. So nobody's going to complain if you have to necessarily wait every other week for episodes to come out.
No.
You don't like that?
No, because if you're talking business perspective, that's trying to accommodate business with the story. Like, yeah, okay. Best case scenario for the story, you release the whole story at once. So if that's 3 episodes, you release all 3 at once. But business, if you wait 3 weeks to release another chunk of 3 episodes, then people would just cancel in between. And they'd say, okay, I'll come back next month when the next episodes are on. And that even makes less sense because it's not continuous. The benefit of the business side is that it's continuous streaming
Yeah.
availability. If you were to just take a chunk and then a month later drop another chunk and then a month later drop another chunk, yeah, you're giving them the complete arc story all at once. But from a business perspective, it's essentially doing the same thing because it's not a continuous effort. But the best solution is drop, if you want to do weekly basis, give the 3-episode story, and then the show only runs for a month, and each week you get a 3-episode arc. The business team's going to hate it because it's going to shorten the show by 3 months, by 2 months. The story team might not like it as much because they'd probably rather just give you the whole thing at once, and then you can just watch the whole show and enjoy the whole story from beginning to end.
I'd be curious to see, like for Kenobi, I would love to see what the statistics were for how many subscriptions, like new subs they got to Disney Plus for the release of Kenobi, because it was obviously the biggest Disney Plus release so far. Like, I would be curious to see all those statistics, like what it was for new subscriptions to coincide with Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, and then Andor here. Because I feel like a show like Andor, even the Star Wars fan base themselves admitted, I've admitted, I freaking love this show right now, and it is officially ruining all these other shows for me. And it's diminishing my excitement for even shows that I was freaking stoked for, like Ahsoka, Mando. I have some high hopes for Acolyte because that could be a whole completely fresh, different thing as well. Like, I'm really excited for Acolyte, but in terms of everything else, I'm just kind of like, I was so hyped for these, and I just know they're not going to compare to... I mean, Andor is just setting a completely different bar and tone and method of telling the story for these Star Wars shows that I personally prefer. Like, where am I even going with this? So yes, I'm at that place right now. Like, Andor is so effing good. I never want it to end. I wish it was more than 2 seasons. And it's almost, I'm worried that it's going to ruin everything else for me because it's just that good. And I admittedly, at the start though, I did not start out this way. I was one of the people who was... my jaw dropped when they announced doing an Andor show because I was like, huh? Like, what? The logic. I was like a lot of other people in the fan base. I feel like a majority of the fan base was like, okay, but huh? Kind of like how people were with Solo, who was still an even bigger name in the Star Wars franchise, but there were still the people saying, like, why is this the message we're getting? Like, the story we're getting. Why not a Vader movie? Like, there's always going to be, people in the fandom who want a different story being told. But even for Solo, I feel like I don't think a lot of the Solo boycott was because of people not being happy with the sequels. I think some of it is attributed to that's not the movie people were asking for. I mean, don't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. But I think it still has a
big name.
A big name, but it's a story built purely out of a nostalgia story, right? Like, we have this beloved character. We want to create this story where the character does all these things that we know the character does throughout its life. And those things, like, the whole premise was, like, how does Han get his name? How does he get his gun? How does he meet Chewie? How does he get the Falcon? How does he meet Lando? How does he do the Kessel Run? How does all these things happen? Throw it in one movie. And there you have it. And for most of the, like, up before Andor, it's...
Likes a Star Wars story. Binks a Star Wars story. Sorry. Keep going. People are throwing out hilarious comments.
Well, up until Andor, it's all, like, Andor's the first story we're getting where it's, new characters, new relationships. It's not built on nostalgia. It's not, oh, we know all these things happen, so let's put these things that happen on the screen. We don't know what happens. We're going to tell you what happens over 2 seasons. Versus like Kenobi was, yeah, we don't know what happens in this time period, but we know the constraints of the problem from Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. We know what can, or we know what can't happen. But like Kenobi wasn't formulating a ton of new relationships. Like it wasn't like a developing thing. It was pretty rapid. Like he goes from being a complete, traumatized hermit feeding his Eope some giant space manta ray to being the most powerful he's ever been in a span of like 3.5 hours.
When you put it that way.
Versus Andor, we've seen all these new people, and we've seen, the galactic lore expanded in a really good way with new planets and new order, and seeing things, unfold. And it's been the same amount of time as Kenobi was. Now obviously Kenobi had different budgetary constraints and things from a business side, and the pitch was, here's the story. We're not gonna, we don't care Kenobi's relationships with his, with people that he's involved with in Tatooine or whatnot, because, that's not going to progress the story they want to tell. And the story where they want to tell is, how does Kenobi get over his anxieties and depression and, PTSD from Revenge of the Sith, and that's a story they wanted to tell. But could they have gone into more detail there, and could the relationships been maybe, similar to Andor, where, it takes a little longer to get the answers? They could have.
No, they totally could have. But no, that was designed, unfortunately, to be a mini series. Like, this goes back to the, I appreciate, but even like Mando only has 10? Is there 10 episodes in a Mando season? 8? So Andor has been the longest running season that we've gotten, with the exception of Clone Wars, obviously, those 25 episode long seasons, but that's a different story because it's animated and it's 30-minute episodes, like not even 25-minute episodes. Andor's been the longest running. Interesting.
Yeah.
Bring it back. Bring that back. Like, they should all be this long. Yeah. That's a proper season. Yeah. I think this isn't just Star Wars, though. That's become normalized on, like, all streaming platforms. I feel like 10 used to be the normal number. Even back in the day, like, there used to be shows that had 20 episode long seasons, but they would have a mid-season, break that wasn't like a year long, and then the final half of the season, the next 10 episodes would come out. Like, I like that. I like that idea. Give me a 20 episode long season. Doesn't all have to drop at once. You can have like a 2-month, 3-month break in between and then bring it back. But like, I feel like in general, just in the television sphere, like the normal generic 10 episodes slowly got dwindled down to like 8. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it was, I don't know what the catalyst was for that, but 8 seems to be the new acceptable season these days, and I'm just like, I want 10. Bring back 10. 7th heaven. 12 to 16 was normal. Yeah. Bad Batch, that's true. How many episodes did that have? I can't even remember.
Bad Batch was 16.
I think you're right.
But they're also 20 minutes.
Everybody dropping shows that have super long or short seasons.
Yeah, it's not about the quantity of episodes. It's really not.
I think it is.
No, it's about the story. Because they've pumped Clone Wars full of episodes where it's just droids going on an adventure.
It doesn't need to be 25
even
episodes.
Mando, like there's certain episodes where it's just, let's go off on this side quest that doesn't really do anything to expand the overall story. Bad Batch, they just go to Sid and get some side mission, and then you come back, and then the next episode they go to Sid for 5 episodes straight, and then you finally pick up where the 7 episodes they left on a continuous storyline.
I gotta rewatch Bad Batch, TBH. I forget a lot of what happened in that.
Like it should be what's the main continuous story, however long it takes you to tell that story. Tell it.
You're right. Obviously, quality is not better than quantity. But would you not agree with me if I said Obi-Wan Kenobi could have afforded another episode or 2 sprinkled in? Was it not a shock to the system, Leia being kidnapped and then rescued within the next episode? I was fully expecting an episode in between. That's what felt natural. That's what I was fully, like, anticipating. There's no way they're going to get her back in the next episode.
Based on the story they told, I think they already spread it out too much. I think it was already spread too thin. I think that if that had just been a 2.5 hour movie, I think that it could have done the
you'd have to trim out a lot. Oh, that's what that one fan did. They edited it.
Someone did do that.
The one YouTuber made it into a 2-hour edit, and then I think it got taken down, but naturally. But
yeah, because that story was, Kenobi, getting over and confronting his grief in Anakin / Vader, and Leia's the caveat that brings them together, which Leia can still be involved, but you don't necessarily need a full hour of content of him on Tatooine. Right? You don't necessarily need...
frankly, I wasn't expecting him to go off-world within the first episode.
Yeah.
I was not. I thought it was going to be a bit.
Yeah, and you don't even need the piece of them going to Fortress Inquisitorius. If you think about it, like, at the end of episode 2, he has Leia. They're escaping Reva and the Inquisitors. If you jump to them then getting captured in space, and then it goes into, the confrontation and things again, like, there's a lot of, oh, we've got Leia. Oh, no, she's gone again. Okay, we get her. Oh, no, she's gone again. Okay, now we actually have her and she's safe. Like, I think that if it was just a movie, it would have stayed focused on, Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship. And yeah, Leia would still be the driver that brings them together, but it would have stayed focused there rather than, oh, let's go rescue Leia. So
that's neat. Or maybe once all these shows are wrapped up, we can do another. We have no data. Rats. There we go. Come on, connection. Come back. Come back. Lag. Yeah, that's the first time. The Wi-Fi all day, though, has been kind of sketchy. So I'm not surprised. I was in a couple of Zoom meetings and it was freezing up on me and I was getting nervous. But yeah, maybe we'll do another debate. That was how Dork Discourse was born, which I forgot about. I was like scrolling through my vids one day recently and I saw that video. I was like, huh? I forgot about that. That Kenobi versus Vader, should they show down? Oh my gosh, back in the day. Should they fight face to face in the series? And I remembered that's how this was all born. So maybe we'll do another debate soon, because we've kind of been... That was the whole kind of premise, that we would bring in topics and we would, because we do disagree on so much. I feel like when it comes to our opinions, obviously the example that just, I wanted a longer Kenobi, he wanted a shorter Kenobi. So who knows? Maybe that could be a topic, or I think a good one would be when all these shows are over with. Once Andor's had its finale, let's rank, or like we could pick which we think is the strongest overall, because you never know. As we've learned from some shows in the past, the finale can definitely have a big impact on a season. So in a good and bad
Wow.
way. So I'm not saying a finale can ruin the show. Finales can also be freaking amazing and make the season super memorable. So, but yeah, maybe we'll do that. I gotta get back into the gaming videos. Yes, I've not done those in a long time. I've been super busy, TBH, y'all. And we're heading into the fall now, and it's just like, oh, I hate that it gets dark early. It hit me that it was like 6:30 the other night, and it was already black outside. I was like, oh. Because it just makes the days feel so much shorter. But I have to start doing... October's already almost over. I'm sad. Like, I'm just getting into the Halloween spirit now. And I haven't even done the gameplay I told you guys I was going to do. Or do a single reaction to a scary movie. I still think I might react to The Exorcist. Just for pure entertainment. I'm going to be terrified in the moment. But I want to even have that in my inventory to look back on in my archives. To crack up later when I'm finally calmed down from it. I just think it would be funny. So maybe I'll do that before the month is up. There's a lot I want to do still, but I want to get back into Cat Cooks. It's just right now all this content that's been out, it's just like, but I do think once these shows are over, I won't be doing any reaction videos for a long time. So if at all, I'm contemplating just kind of writing out the last few episodes, obviously the last episode of House of the Dragon, and then the last half of Andor, and then that might be it for the reactions on my channel, just because I do... That's a whole other video, but I want to get back into making other content, and right now my channel is just reactions, because everything has been happening, so, fear not. I have other video ideas, I just have not been able to execute them, but... That's why I enjoy doing these streams, because we can talk about other things. Oh, Sean, what's up?
What's up, Sean?
Good to see you, even though I think I was just starting to get it wrapped up, because we've been going for an hour, and my back is hurting, and I'm getting tired, so we might be calling it a night soon. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I am excited for next week's. We'll be able to rehash whatever goes down in the finale for Game of Thrones. I am hoping tonight's episode is an exciting one. We'll see, but I'll be filming my reaction for that for you guys, so you can... Hopefully that'll be up tomorrow, knock wood. Hopefully I didn't just jinx myself. Bye, Alice! Yeah, unfortunately I won't see you guys. We're not doing, again, reminder, not doing an Evil Ewok pod tonight. So everyone can actually take a nap before the episode. Honestly, I might go and do that. I gotta chill. So, any last words you want to say?
No. I don't think so.
You don't think so? Yeah? Well...
No. I think,
I want to do a debate next week. I don't even want to wait till Andor's over. Let's think...
Well,
I'll ask you guys for debate topics.
Well, we already started debating Kenobi again.
No, but I don't want to debate Kenobi, because the more I talk about it, I don't want to be upset about Kenobi.
Because, you're right, Gabriel had a comment earlier saying that the main issue was the visuals. And I agree. Really, the only major qualm is just the visuals. Like, the fact that this show with the main characters of the franchise got, like, the lowest budget of any of the shows so far is just a hard thing to wrap your head around. But the story as we got it is good. And it's, like, it's a fantastic story, and it's intense, and especially like the first 2.5 episodes and then the last 2 episodes are phenomenal, and it's really good. You know?
I want to answer this last question. Do you feel as though Andor as a show is too niche? I think you might want to answer that, because you made a point that people come to Star Wars for the Force, for the magic, for the Jedi. That is the definition of Star Wars as we know it. Do you want to elaborate on that, and why you think some people haven't been tuning into Andor, despite the fact that it is one of the better show? It's an incredible show, not just like Star Wars show, but just in general.
Well, I think that's pretty much exactly it. Like, why did Kenobi get the highest viewership of any Disney Plus show so far? Because the show was widely known as and advertised as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. And those are 2 of the most iconic characters of all time. And the reason they're iconic is because they are space wizards with lightsabers, and you know, their stories are well fleshed out, and you know, people love their stories. Versus Andor is some Joe Schmo in the rebellion who, you know, yeah, has a interesting story in one movie, but in terms of the Star Wars galaxy, he's not a huge player. He's a super minor player when it comes to the story of the Star Wars galaxy and the Skywalker story. Versus Obi-Wan and Anakin and Vader. I mean, Anakin Vader is the central piece of Star Wars. He is Star Wars. That character is the definition of Star Wars. And Star Wars is the most iconic franchise of all time, so
people love
therefore
your
you have a
use of the term space wizard. I don't think a lot of people have heard that. They're going off in the chat.
What? Space wizards? I didn't come up with that.
Who did?
Like, George Lucas came up with that.
Oh. I didn't know.
Think.
I don't know.
I feel like he has said that. I feel like George has said space wizards.
We'll have to dig it up.
Or maybe Mark Hamill has said space wizards.
I don't know. Anyway.
I definitely didn't just make that up. I'm positive I did not just make that up.
I interrupted. Was that the consensus of your point? Or
But yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, when you talk about the Force and the Jedi and the light side versus the dark side, like, that's what makes Star Wars so unique and special. Like, yeah, you have James Bond movies and you have Mission Impossible movies and you have other spy centered movies and whatnot, but this is just a spy story around a character that existed before, set in the Star Wars universe, but the show is not advertised as, oh, here's main characters that are gonna, you know, this show could change the outcome of the main characters in the galaxy. Right? Like, if you think about Obi-Wan and Vader, I mean, that's like, if you think of like if you compare to like Earth, and you have like the most powerful countries on Earth, and you have their leaders going at each other, right? Versus, like, that is like Vader and Obi-Wan. Like, if you have the Jedi versus the Sith, they rule the entire galaxy. These two are like the leaders of the biggest groups. So then if you take Earth, if you divide it in two factions, like, let's say Cold War, you have the US and the Allies versus the Soviets and their things. You have the leaders of those two factions. That's like Kenobi. But then Cassian is like some ally spy that no one knows about going on missions, but it's not dealing with the big players and the bigger picture. It's a small subset that the show's growing, and we're finding out that it's growing into a bigger picture.
Jaeger's like, what? And I agree. I think this has gone too far. I think...
No, it makes perfect sense.
No,
it makes perfect sense.
no.
Thank you, Charlie. It makes perfect sense. I'm explaining. That's what's happening. You've got the big bat. You got the dogs. You got the top dogs in Obi-Wan and Vader. They're going at it. Anything they do is going to impact the entire galaxy and the entire storyline. But you have Andor, who's a Joe Schmo spy. He could die, and the galaxy's not going to change. No one's literally going to care. No one would care. Nothing would happen. They would find a new Andor like that. Are they going to find a new Vader like that? No. They going to find a new Kenobi like that? No. Because of their history and their network and the people that they can network with. That's the difference. Why would you want to go, if you're a casual fan, or like you've seen Star Wars and you like Star Wars, if you're presented with Obi-Wan versus Andor, and you can only pick one, why would anyone show any interest in Andor at all? Because you're like, just by having Obi-Wan, it's inherently going to be a bigger story with a more significant impact on the overall Star Wars lore versus Andor. And you're like, one, okay, like, who's that? Two, oh, I know who he is, but he's just some, like, rebel spy guy. So no matter what he does, it's not going to be at the same impact as if Darth Vader was doing something.
Well, I hope that answered that question. I think you did about being too niche.
So yes, the short answer, yes.
Yeah.
That's the short answer, yes.
On that note, I think my brain has stopped a little bit, so we might peace out. But I usually like to end it on a Tom rant like that, so leave you guys something to think about. Something profound.
Well, we gotta pull.
No! Oh my god!
We have to end with a poll. We got to end with a poll.
What?
You started this. I was ready. I was ready to be done.
Is there no poll option?
And then you asked for my input. Yeah. Did they nerf us? Can we not create a poll?
Go to the plus sign. Hang on. What is this?
Why do you insist on using the mouth? Oh.
Start a Q&A. Is that not what this whole thing is?
Well, it's probably more specific.
There you go. Type your poll.
You
don't even have an idea.
No, well, I had something, but I don't know if you'd like it. So I'll think of something else.
Oh yeah, make it family friendly here.
Okay. Let's do generic. Since we started talking about Kenobi, I'm curious what the results of this poll will be. Now, obviously, one of these shows is not finished yet. However, of the first 6 episodes of Andor versus what we got in Kenobi, which do people prefer? I'm very curious.
Oh!
There we go. Okay.
Only 6 votes, though.
Yeah.
16 of you in here. We need 10 more. There's 7. People thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Andor, said Zech.
Yeah.
Ranting Tom, hidden cat. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, you have to go Kenobi just from the people, just the fact that those two are involved in the story and what their characters mean to the fate of the entire galaxy. Like, you just have to go Kenobi.
Yeah, Nicholas makes a good point. It doesn't matter. Kenobi all the way. Ewan and Hayden bringing them back. You can't say otherwise.
Yeah.
Pull through Andor.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about characters and weight of the plot and the history, you know, going back to 1977,
well, yeah,
like, you got to think about
the pure nostalgia. And if you're a prequel baby, yeah, Kenobi was life. It was giving everything that we had wanted for 10 plus years.
But expand on lore and world building and, like, political, the galaxy's politics, and it didn't. The dialogue was, you know, was pretty face value, not super.
Oh yeah, no. In terms of
story
and even character development, I would say Andor is better in different departments, different strengths. But as of now, yes, Andor does not have the sheer emotions attached to, you know, Kenobi, and that's, you know, whatever gripes I had about the show, and this is what I said the whole time, they're minimal compared to the nostalgia and just the sheer rush and adrenaline and anticipation of that show in general. So they succeed in different things. They both have different strengths. Well, on that note, looks like we've got most people's votes in. Actually, well, no. It started off way bigger of a gap, but 67-33, which is, I kind of anticipated something around there.
Yeah. I mean, if you talk visuals,
all right, we're not going to go into that. We're not going to go into
everybody would.
Yeah, there would be would be different rankings if we were to rate this by topic, by department. Yeah, things would be very different. If you're going for emotional value, like, you know, obviously Kenobi. If you're going for the locations / sets and or like, which is fine. Different. One show is not going to exceed at every single thing, in my opinion. So, but I think we'll leave it off on that note, folks. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. I hope everybody enjoys tonight's
Yep.
Andor episode. Again, just a reminder, we're not gonna be streaming over on Evil Ewok later, so we're all gonna have to try to just stay up some other way. But thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out, and hopefully, I've been saying this for the past 2 weeks, but I really do want to do a gaming stream this week. Hopefully. So stay tuned. I will try to do that. But in the meantime, I hope you guys are all doing so well. Thanks so much for hanging out with us this evening, and we'll see you guys. I'll see you guys again in my reaction very soon, and until next week, enjoy Andor, and we'll see you guys after, House of the Dragon finale and everything, so there will be lots to unpack next Tuesday. So hope everyone has a great rest of your night, day, morning, evening, 5 a.m., wherever it is. Hope you enjoy the episode, and we'll catch you guys again very, very soon. Bye, friends.
Adios. Have a good week.